Okay, so now for this next part of the exercise, where we're going to adjust the model to make it do some more detailed analysis. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward in the instructions, tidy things up a bit to make it easier. It's nothing difficult, don't worry. We'll just click on Save As up here, and then we're going to save it as, we'll call it something else. We'll call it Stream Model. Okay, we've called that stream model. That's what we've saved. We'll just quickly save that. And then what we're going to do, just to make life a little easier, is get rid of this watershed business. We won't need that anymore. The watersheds aren't going to change terribly with our further analyses. So let's just skip that. We don't need to create those every time. We could actually change this workflow quite a bit. What we're going to be doing is changing from here downstream. So actually we could break this flow up, this workflow up, by saving all of these files, creating a new workflow that starts from here, rather than doing all of this analysis each time. But for now, let's just follow the instructions. So we go back now to these instructions where it says here, we're going to start working on our con, the expression here. We're going to start turning it into a tool that can take different values. So what we did in the previous part of the exercise was the condition was set hard to 2000 upstream cells. Then you have a stream. We're going to make this more flexible so that we can do different analyses and say, well, what happens if we say only if there are 10,000 upstream cells, or 20,000 or 30,000 before we actually have a stream. Rather than having to hard code that into our model and run it each time, what we can do is just set up our model so that it asks for the number of upstream cells. How many do we want? And then we can run the model. So let's do that by first of all right-clicking on con, and then we want to create a variable from parameter, and it's going to be an expression. So here we get this little expression come up there. If we right-click on that, I said we want this as a parameter, but we're not going to click on the P button because that would be a problem later on. It solves some things, but not everything that we want to solve with file naming and stuff like that. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to create a little expression here. We click on SQL and we change that to value. We need the percent sign, value, percent sign. It's important. We click on OK. And then if we look here, we've done that, and we've done that part. And then it says we also need to create something that is this value. Where does this come from, this mystical thing? There is no variable called value, so we need to set that up. And we do that by going here, and we go to a variable up there, click on that, and what we want is up here, and it's any value. Click on OK, and we get this any value there. So if we right click on that, we click on open, and we set that to 10,000 in this case. That's going to be our initial check. We want to rename it. Now this is important. It's important that you call this value in uppercase letters, because we set the name that we were looking for to value as uppercase letters in the previous step. And then we need to make that a parameter. And then we drag that to there, and we call that a precondition. Right, so now we have said that condition is going to use, the con tool is going to use an expression to analyze. I mean, it was doing this before, but now we've set up an expression as an external thing. This sounds a little odd, and then in order for that to work, it needs to call on some other variable or parameter. The word's being misused here quite freely. Some other thing, some other entity that we've called percentage sign value percentage sign. The percentage sign is a code for ArcGIS to say this is a variable that we can set. And then we call it a parameter. In terms of programming, this is horrible. But it's been, there we go. That's now going to work. If we go back to the instructions, we've got this part, but there's one last thing that we need to do, because the whole point of this setting up this was so that we could create files with the same name as the number of upstream cells, so that we know which one of these streams is which. So what we need to do is we click on streams there, and we open it, and we're going to call it streams. It's set to save in our database. We set it streams. We use the percentage sign, value, percentage sign. So what this is now saying is that whatever that value was set to up there, which we can adjust as we want. It's got a predetermined value of 10,000 just because there has to be something there for now. But whatever we set it to, whatever that value is later on, it's going to take that, it's going to use it as the condition here. It's going to say it's got to be greater than, equal to or greater than whatever that value is. And it's going to use that name, that value, and chuck it in at the end there on the name of that stream's output. So the streams there are the ones that have a greater number of, or another number of upstream cells. So that's why we needed to do this whole thing, so that we could reuse that value there. Just enter it once, and it will be reused later downstream, so to speak. So now we can save that, and that should mean that we are now ready to run that. We can auto layout. This is where in the later part this is where we skipped to, where we removed the watersheds and stuff. Let's just auto layout that. Good, and we can save it. Now, before we ran from there, but what we want to do now, because of this, or rather because of this, what we want to do is go to catalog. We need to refresh there. This is our stream model, and we can click on open. And now it asks for this value. It says, what do you want to set it at? It's preset to 10,000, but we can put it at something else if we want, but let's just run it at 10,000 for now. So we can then just press run, and our model will run. And unfortunately, it's going to go through all of these steps. Every time we run it, it has to go through all of these steps. That's something we can now see. It's gone through all of those, and we should then, once this is done, have in our catalog here, go to the database, refresh. There we have our streams 10,000. Okay, well that's done. So we can then add that into there. So that would be the end of, you then can create more of these streams and then visualize them in a map, show the difference between different streams, between different numbers of accumulation cells, upstream accumulation, what difference that actually makes. But maybe I'll do a quick other video where I show cutting this model out, reducing it down so that we can speed up the workflow every time you have to click on it.